He's not working.
Yeah, it's coming.
There we go. All right, good evening, everybody. Today is January 14th. It's the monthly meeting of the planning board. If everyone could stand.
Legs are in the wrong spot again?
Okay, I'm coming, hold on.
All right, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and first item on the agenda is a special permit with site plan approval, public hearing continued.
Town of Millis Office of the Planning Board notice of public hearing. In accordance with the provisions of Chapter 40A, Section 11, Mass General Law, the Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, January 14th, 2025, at 7:30 PM in the Veterans Memorial Building, Room 229, 900 Main Street, Millis, on the application of Nancy Cushman, Skippies on the River, 3 Hampton Road, Norfolk, Mass. 02056. Requesting a special permit for with site plan approval under Section 13C of the zoning bylaws for the town of Millis for demolition of an existing commercial building and construction of a new commercial building restaurant in its place for property located at 35 Main Street, map 27, parcel 10, Millis, Mass. Copy of the application and site plan is on file with the office of the town clerk and can be viewed at the planning board's webpage. This hearing has been requested to be continued without discussion to Tuesday, February 4th, 2025, per the applicant's request. Any person interested or wishing to be heard in the application should appear at the time and place designated. Richard Nichols, Chair.
All right, well, I make a motion that we continue this to Tuesday, February 4th. And
Second.
what time?
7:30.
At 7:30?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And next item on the agenda?
No, we're gonna wait for 7:35.
Oh, man. Okay. Okay. All right, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from December 10th as written.
Second.
All right, motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
That killed 20 seconds.
Yeah, no.
So we can give you an update.
Yep, go ahead.
Just a quick update. The town administrator implemented, remember, if you all remember, we used to have our monthly meetings with all the different board members. Nicole was there, Camille and myself were there. It was very interesting. It was nice to see that dialogue getting back put in place. You know, a lot of new information that we found out. I mean, the thing that came out of it for me was that the chair of the select board, I mean, we haven't heard this officially from the developer, but yet, but the Truska, she stated that they had resolved all conflicts and that he is willing to, he's gonna come back to the planning board soon.
So that'd be the one on
Main Street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cottage?
Yeah,
Cottage Ave?
and back of there, yeah.
yeah.
And he fully well, I mean, it was brought up that he knows that he still has to, you know, build a new sewer lift station, you know, for that project. I mean, again, we haven't heard anything official from that yet, so we'll have to wait and see from, you know, until we hear from the developer himself to see if that's actually, you know, in place. Another, you know, we talked about the 3.8 that passed. What else? You want to chime in? I don't know.
Stony Brook was,
Yep.
Stony Brook's gonna be looking to add, they'll most likely, they said another 160 units. As of right now, it's looking like they're gonna go in under 40B to add instead of the new MOD. But, you know, there's always a possibility. if
We're
they-
under safe harbor at this point in time.
No,
No?
that's what I asked. We're
Oh.
at 8.8%.
Okay.
And they granted us safe harbor and they took it away a month later.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So, because I guess they hadn't calculated a different, they didn't calculate something.
But those would count because they would be rentals. Those would count towards, so that would,
All of them would be.
yeah, yeah.
Another
Well, that's
big
what's
project that came up was the town administrator who was, you know, he could announce that the town has made a settlement with the 114 Union Street and that they will be approaching the ZBA very shortly, again, to refile and to see if they can, their permit, because I guess the state with, during COVID, they have a 2-year extension. I mean, that's a ZBA issue, not a planning board issue, but, the settlement, once their permit has been issued, then the town will receive a settlement from the developer, that will go towards assisting the PFAS plant that will be built. And we're not at liberty to state it yet until they get their permit. Let's see,
And that's another 98.
yeah, another,
Units.
correct, another
That's
98
another
units.
98 units, and those are all rental.
Yeah,
So
all
they'll all count towards
Mm-hmm.
our 10%. So possibly, and that might be, I think Bob had mentioned he thought that maybe, he had said to me at another discussion, I think maybe that 98 had been included, and that's why we thought we were at 10%. But because there is no permit and it hasn't moved far enough along. So hopefully, if that does come in, that will, if they do go forward, that will bump us to the 10%.
All right.
Yeah, a couple other projects, I mean, it's busy. We mentioned everything that, is in front of us now. That was there, the 2 restaurants down on Main Street. The other project, next door to the Bowen Alley, that's another, 34-plus units. The permitting for the old Bada Bings, I mean, that's well on its way. I mean, they're putting the roof up. So I'm sure that's gonna be in, that's another 20-plus units of rental. There was another, I think that's about it. We did state that somebody came and said that Ronaldo was, approached them. There's a project that probably could be under the planning board. It's off of Village Street. And he's studying whether he wants to do a conventional, subdivision or, cluster type, He's not exactly sure quite yet. I think he did the plans and he's actually reviewing it. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned his name, but there's a developer looking to build off of Village Street, it could be upwards of 16 to 20-plus units of single-family homes. So it's good to have that meeting back.
8 to 10.
8 to 10. So, let's see what happens.
All right, well, good, thanks for that, appreciate it. So next item on the agenda would be special permit with site plan approval, public hearing continued.
Town of Millis Office of the Planning Board notice a public hearing in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 48, Section 11, Mass General Law. The Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, January 14th, 2025, at 7:30 PM in the Veterans Memorial Building, Room 229, 900 Main Street, Millis, on the application of Dimitri Tipadis, Dover Road Solar LLC, 400 Edgewater Place, Suite 570, Wakefield, Massachusetts, 01880, requesting a special permit for site plan approval under Section 21, large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic installation, and Section 13C of the zoning bylaws of the town of Millis for installation of a 498-kilowatt AC ground-mounted solar array on property located at 140 Dover Road, Millis, Mass. Assessors Map 53, Lot 6. Property owned by BASF Corporation. A copy of the application and site plan is on file with the Office of the Town Clerk and on the Planning Board's webpage. This public hearing has been requested by the applicant to be continued without discussion to Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. Any person interested or wishing to be heard in the application should appear at the time and place designated. Richard Nichols, Chair.
All right, I think that actually, it should say February 4th.
No,
It did,
they did one till
oh,
March.
it says February, that's why. Yeah.
No, the first one was February 1st,
Okay, my mistake, sorry.
but this is the one that,
No, we, yeah, you
we
and I.
may want to grant the continuance,
Yeah, appeal that.
request either a withdrawal or a
Right,
refile
right.
at the next
Next
one.
one, right. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and, go ahead.
They appealed the ZBA's denial, so it had
Yeah.
to court.
Yeah. Yeah. So I make a motion that we reschedule this to Tuesday, March 4th at 7:35.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can we notify the applicant that this will be the last continuation?
We're actually at the next meeting, because then it'll be a year.
Oh, okay,
That's what Camille, that's what we had discussed earlier,
Okay.
that would make sense.
so
After
March, after March, we'll continue it.
Correct.
So if they're not ready in March, they should submit a withdrawal request, or you can deny the application, because it will have been over a year, so they will need to re-advertise,
Okay.
re-notify.
Right.
It's the
Great.
right thing to do.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so the motion's been made to reschedule to March 4th at 7:30. We can do 7:30.
We can do
Yep.
7:30.
Okay,
Second?
motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's see here. We're gonna go out of order. Let's do the FY '26 Planning Board budget approval. So the budget went together, basically it has a small increase in it, it's just about level funded.
There is no increase now.
Oh, there is no,
No, right, this is
Okay.
just a level funded.
okay, so it's a level funded, so it's just what we had last year.
Yeah. If you wanna
And
discuss.
the, like, the amounts. Yeah, so the one question that we had on that is that if we redo the zoning map, would we put a separate line item in for that, rather than take it out of, our budget, knowing that we would, if we redo the zoning map, we'd have to pay to have that done. So the question to the board is, should we find out what that would be, or put an allowance in to have that?
Absolutely.
Well, we have a $1,500 engineering line item. And according to Mike's, for these amendments will probably be between $800 to $1,000. So we do have a line item on this sheet. It tells you that everything is broken down for
Right.
this year.
But the thing is with it is that we, over the last year, what did we end up spending out of that?
Nothing.
Nothing?
I don't think- We didn't have any amendments to the zoning map last year.
Okay.
This is the first one in a couple of years.
So we could
But
take
if
it
you
out.
don't think the 1,500 will cover, I mean, it's up to you if you.
Well, if we
wanna
don't
ask
use it,
more.
if we don't use it, if we're short, we have to, then we'd have to do is it'd be unpaid bills?
If the total, if
Yeah, go ahead.
the total expenses for the planning board with all the line items, engineering services, printing, supplies and expense, postage, advertising, dues and subscriptions, administrative expensive, that totals $9,425. So if, say, engineering services runs over, if we have funds, whatever funds we have remaining in supply, any of those line items can be used to pay planning board expenses regardless of what they are. So that $9,425 can be used, for any line item that runs over. If some have funds remaining, we can use those for other line items. It kind of totals it but breaks it down.
Have we, just in, last time they did the zoning map upgrade, off the top of your head, do you remember what it cost?
I would have to look back and see, but I do remember it was BSC Group that did it.
Right.
And we did have, take it from other
Right.
line items.
Okay, so.
But I don't remember what the total, I'd have to look back to the.
Yeah, I just, like I said, if we ask for a little more money and we don't use it, it just doesn't get used. So that's
Right.
that would be my thought, is I'd like to make sure we covered it and, so.
No, I think we should, I agree, I think we should add a line item specifically for the zoning map update.
And what would we throw in it?
If they're giving us an estimate of $800 to $1,500, I think we ask for 15,
1,500,
because
right.
you're not gonna be able to negotiate with the Board of Selectmen and
Right.
FinCom, you can't negotiate up.
Right. We
If
can always,
anything.
just if we just don't use it, we don't use it.
Right, and if they're looking to tighten bill, they'll take money out of our request, but they're not gonna,
Right.
so I would say if it's potentially upwards of 1,500, we ask for 1,500, and,
Okay, so if we,
So you say additional?
Yeah.
Not 1,500?
yeah, I think we should have an additional line item
Yep.
that says zoning map.
So that would have to
update.
go on budget request above level service.
Okay.
so we'd have to add that up, so 40. Okay, so, oops. so that's 47. That is 12, that's 1. So that would be 36.
On a
2,
calculator?
4, no, did it the old-fashioned way, like real math. So I make a motion that we put an additional 1,500 in to cover the zoning map upgrade, which would make the total budget $36,247.
Second.
All right. Any comments from the group? Okay. All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okey dokey. And then, yeah, looked it over that, so I couldn't find it. Okay, all right, so that takes care of the budget, the GCG zoning map update approval. So that was, we briefly talked about that. So actually, Jim had said that you were actually, they're coming in on Monday, GCG?
I actually talked to them, and Camille's talked to them,
Okay.
so.
I've been in touch with Mike Carter, and I'm preparing a list of amendments to the map in addition to adding the MOD overlay district to the map. Like, the names have to be updated, and there's streets that are gonna be added, and like Regency at Glen Ellen and Acorn Place. So I will be in touch with him, but he said it would range, well, like I think it was like $765. His email is in the packet. I just figured you'd wanna vote to approve for GCG to go forward with the zoning map amendments.
Yeah. And this is just the maps are, we update them, and then we go a couple of years, and then we have to update them again. So it's a standard thing that we have to do. So I make a motion that we approve GCG updating the zoning map. All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the last item on the agenda would be discussion regarding the appointment of a 5-member zoning bylaw review committee. So the zoning in the town has been upgraded piecemeal over years. And so we've got multiple districts that have all sorts of zoning in them. We have overlay districts. And one of the thoughts was to go through and figure out what zoning the area should really be now that we're to where we are, and basically clean up the zoning. So I think the question to the group would be, how would we want to do this? Would we want to, we obviously would be, if it was 5 planning board members, that would be all of us. I think we probably want to have someone who's not planning board on that. Any thoughts, Jim?
So yeah, I would definitely think that, I would look at where it's our approval, I think it will come back to us for this approval, that it would be maybe 1 member of the planning board, for the initial study, and, general people from the public. I'd let it be known out there. There are some people who do have interest. I know people have talked to Mike about it, they've talked to me about it, and I believe they're even, Camille, I know she's interested in getting this updated, because it's a quagmire because it hasn't been done in such a long time. Now, would this have to go back to town meeting for a vote? Just, I know, I just want to clarify it.
Any amendments to the,
Yeah.
currently there were 4 articles at the November town meeting, so that were zoning bylaw changes and amendments. So those, I'm in the process now of changing the bylaw book, and once the Attorney General approves it, I have them reprinted and upload and to the website. So any proposed zoning bylaw change has to be presented to the planning board, or the planning board can come up with their own proposed amendments. A public hearing has to be held. And it does have to go as a warrant article at town meeting. Any
right.
zoning bylaws do require
Right.
town meeting approval. And it requires the select board sending it to the planning board to hold their public hearing, that whole line of
And it's still
process.
it's still us, though. I mean,
It's still the
it's
planning board,
it's our
yes.
vote that pushes,
That gets it on the warrant.
that gets it
It's-
on the
yes,
warrant,
it's the
which
planning
is
board that
most
recommends it.
important.
So if this is I'm assuming just like review committees that the select board does. Whatever the review committee opinions, suggestions they come up to, they will come up with. They'll present to the planning board, and then it will be the planning board's decision which, if any or all of those suggestions to accept and submit to.
And I assume they'd have to be approved, run by town council
That's
as
just
well.
what I was gonna
Right.
say.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so that would be the next thing, is that we'd have to get them. And then what timeline, I mean, was there, did anyone have a specific timeline on what they were thinking?
I would hope that, it would be maybe tough to get it, on May. I'd like to see if we could get it on May, town meeting, but,
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
So
I mean, you
if-
look at maybe 4 or 5 meetings and,
If I may, again, I think for upcoming May town
Yeah.
meeting, they're looking at, there's gonna be the FEMA bylaw
Yeah.
has to be updated. So I think they're gonna be looking to get that for the spring town meeting, and there could potentially be, like Mike had mentioned last time, the accessory dwelling units. There may have to be a bylaw created for that in time for the spring town meeting, so I think we're currently looking at least 2 articles for May.
so I'd still like to see it get seated as soon as possible. We can put it out there, and see if we get any volunteers. If we don't by our next meeting, then we'll approach people. And we can suggest names. But I think there's an interest by, enough people that live in Millis that have probably helped written a lot of these in years past. They're still around and they're still interested in getting involved in this. So I'm just glad that I think we're all in favor of it.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah, I've dealt with the zoning bylaw for 22 years, so
Yeah.
my book is still highlighted what should be removed and what should be fixed. So, and even with this current issue we have with the solar system over there on Dover Road, it's very specific in the bylaw that you need 15 acres and it has to be an agricultural use to be exempted.
Right.
And they're, they're challenging that, so.
No, we wrote that. Yeah, we actually put that in place. That was the
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
that was, we did because of the farm in the edge of Norfolk.
Yeah.
In which, could we address like the tent issue? Would we change
Yeah.
this now and
Okay.
that?
Anything or
Yeah.
everything.
That's
Everything.
another
Yeah.
thing I wanted to mention, because you decided to table that till after the first of
This
the
would be a
year.
good time
So
to-
that is what I also put up, I put a sheet in
Yeah,
your.
say this.
In your, that.
Very helpful.
Right, and that's
Yep.
kind of something that you wanted to discuss, the signage
Mm-hmm.
and the temporary structures. So those were 2 that you had already on your list to look at.
All right, so any thoughts on the board of who would like to volunteer to lead the charge on this?
Well, I guess, why don't we settle on, what the makeup is gonna be? I mean,
Mhm.
just because I said it, I mean.
No,
Yeah, yeah,
I agree. I mean, like you said, it's coming back to us
Yeah.
anyhow, and, I would say one, or if one or more of the planning board members wants to be on it, that's great. I don't think we should overload it. I think it
I'd
should
probably
be.
be the best to be sitting on it since I got it all marked up.
Okay. Well, I mean, if there's any other volunteers from the,
I'd be happy to sit on it.
Okay.
If we want to do one person, then.
well, we don't
That's fine.
necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily have to limit that. I said we could, we could do 1 or 2, and then let's see what we have for interest from the rest of the
Public.
town, and,
Because it could be all 5 of us. It could be us.
yeah. I think we put out a request for volunteers, and right now we have 2 interested parties from the planning board, and
Let's see what the makeup is.
see what the
at our
makeup
next-
is, and,
yeah.
that way we can be fair to
Mhm.
everybody, so.
Yeah.
All right, and so Camille, we can send that to Karen, can post that on the,
I
Yeah.
believe you
Yeah.
start with the select board for, wouldn't they, or the town administrator, who would be in charge of,
Well, I think that,
Assistant
Well,
town
we're in
administrator.
touch, this would be.
it's under us, so
this would
it's
be
the
a
chair of
committee
the,
under the
yeah.
plan.
Under
Yeah.
our, this would be our committee.
yeah.
yeah, but we can post it on the town website that we're looking for volunteers.
And
Yeah.
and the town's Facebook page.
Right.
Not the public forum. I mean, we could put it, one of us could put it on the public forum, but the town has its own Facebook
Right.
page. So put it on the website and
So
the.
Karen would have to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah,
So
she
ask
could do it,
Karen if
right.
she can
Yes.
do that. Okay.
Yes.
But it's still under the direction of the chair of the planning board.
Right. Yeah,
So
we don't need select board's approval.
No.
or request
Correct.
for-
So the inquiries should go directly to you? or
No, they would
to
go to
Camille?
Camille. they go to Camille. And then we would
I
bring
think
them up.
he just means the names. Camille was like, wait a minute.
No, no,
Yeah, they could contact me if they're interested.
yes,
Yeah,
correct, yeah.
Cool.
Good, all right, well, that'll be,
Have you given any thought to like, would it be meeting during the day, in the heat, like any, because people would probably ask, or do you want to get names first to see who might be
That's
interested?
up to the-
yeah,
I would say get names because
Get
we
names,
want
we'd
to
have to-
figure out who's on
Right.
who's on it and what times are gonna work for everybody.
yeah, I think the makeup of the group would, you'd have to determine if it'd be the day meetings are good if you're around town, but if you're not local, it makes it a lot more difficult, so.
One suggestion, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
We should maybe send an email or a memo out to the new building commissioner
Okay.
and ask him if he would like to be a part of it,
Okay,
whereas he's just starting out, and it would be a good step for him to get involved with.
okay, that's a good idea, thank
I
you.
can certainly email him
Yeah.
and ask
Yep.
him
Yeah.
if he'd be interested.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am?
do we want to, in the meantime, be drafting an ADU bylaw? Are we going to have this review committee be adding a?
No, I'd go to Mike and see what his comment on that is. I think the state was gonna have the state is gonna come out with from what I read, a sample recommended ADU that the towns could take and modify. Is that correct, Mike?
Yeah, we have a meeting, a building officials meeting with one of the attorneys, zoning attorneys, to go over that. I think it's next week, on what some of the proposals may be on how to deal with that with your zoning bylaws. So, I suggest we wait and see what comes out of the woodwork with it.
Okay, yeah, because from what I read, is that they were gonna come out with basically a model bylaw that,
Yeah.
all the towns can have, and it's kind of like the MOD thing, you'd be able to tweak it a little and make it, fit your town, but you wouldn't necessarily,
Right.
you couldn't, say that they'd have to have, purple lawn chairs in front of each house, there would be restrictions, so,
I haven't seen it yet, but I know it's coming.
okay, all right, good to know. The other thing we had talked about was to talk about the event tents again, because we have the issue where people who are, setting up for one-time events are getting blindsided by the tents. And then the other item which was brought up earlier was the signage bylaw amendment to go and look at that again to see if we want to update that, pick up things like the noodles that are, or the pop-up guys, if there's a limit to time that the things that go up and down, or the flags that hang on the side of the road, could be there. So that would be something else that we could take a look
Illegal.
at.
Well, zoning bylaws are illegal. Banners,
Yeah,
you gotta,
Mhm.
if you want to need a 14-day permit from the Board of Selectmen for grand opening,
Mhm.
but otherwise,
Technically, they're not.
technically, I pulled them out.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know.
there's a bunch of them down in the back of the building.
I used to get an email, so just don't go rip them out, get an email.
All right. Okay, I think that was about it.
Yeah.
So unless there is anything else,
I'm
Yep, go
sorry, did I miss, what did we decide on the signage bylaw?
that we're gonna address.
And that we're gonna, and
That
the
we're-
event tents.
We're gonna address those in a future meeting.
Are they gonna be part of the review committee? or
No,
are you
no,
guys
no,
just
we
going-
would, just like we did before. We started on the temporary structures, and I can't even remember where we ended up on that, but we
ended
ran out
up
of time.
In a disagreement.
Yeah, okay.
So.
So I think we should pick that, I think we should,
As to when we can move, because, I mean, those two would be good.
Especially the
Right.
tent, that's
we
coming
try to
up.
get those onto the
That
spring town
season's
meeting.
coming up. The tent thing's coming up, I mean.
Yeah, it's gonna come up soon,
soon,
yeah. So why don't we put that for our next meeting?
Okay.
We'll talk about that.
And, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
can we send an email to the new building commissioner, see if he has any recommendations or any comments
okay. good.
regarding
Nope, good point.
temporary structures, temporary tents?
Mhm.
And What else do we just talk about? Signs.
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 Yeah. Yeah, and if we want to, like I said, if we, next meeting, when we come back, if we want to bring a list of items that we want to adjust, or, you know, I think the one thing that we had said that, you know, the adjustable signs, that technically we want to, you know, maybe bring the signs into the, like at a gas station, let's say, into the 21st century, so that they don't have to go out and physically change the sign. And I don't think that's an unreasonable request at this point in time. So, all right, great. Unless there's anything else, I make a motion to adjourn. All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, great, thank you.
I'm passing one bill down to sign.
Okey-dokey.